It's rare for a person to become notable enough to make a mark on history, but one man was able to change it forever. Who was Alexander the Great, and why was he so important? My name is Caroline Menendez, though most of you know me as Cora, and today I'm here to talk to you about the most famous general in history. In a single lifetime, Alexander of Macedonia made a permanent mark on the world, changing it in a way that endures 2,000 years after his death. Alexander was able to change the world because of the influences of his early life, his conquests, and the effects of his reign. Alexander was born in July in 359 BCE to Queen Olympias and King Philip II of Macedonia. Growing up, he was taught by a variety of tutors, the most famous being the sophist Aristotle, who taught him from ages 13 to 16. Wilkin, writing in 1931, claimed Aristotle inspired Alexander's love of Greek culture, but Brian and Kurt in 2012 claimed Macedonia had had Greek culture and influence for generations before Alexander was even born. Before Aristotle even taught Alexander, he had already had a fascination with Greek culture, especially with the Iliad. This fascination would go so far as to having Alexander carry a copy of the Iliad with himself for the rest of his life. He would take much inspiration from heroes of lore such as Achilles and Heracles, even claiming descent from both. But how did Alexander become great? At 16, Alexander temporarily ruled Macedonia while his father campaigned against the Persians. It was when Philip II was killed by political rival, Alexander officially took up the mantle of king at age 20. He began his reign by removing any potential threats to his throne. Then he quelled the revolts that started after his father's assassination. Once he defeated them, he slowly began to take over the rest of the known world. The Roman historian Arrian wrote the Anabasis of Alexander in the 2nd century CE, which was a thorough history of each conquest and battle Alexander participated in. Despite typically being outnumbered, Alexander never lost a single battle. This is how he earned the epithet of great. Alexander conquered the Middle East, Egypt, parts of Asia, and the Eastern Mediterranean. Wherever he went, he established cities, often named after himself, and spread Hellenistic culture throughout his empire. Some of these cities still stand today, with the most iconic example being Alexandria in Egypt. Artifacts can still be found from Greece to even as far east as Pakistan. But everything must end eventually, so how did Alexander finish his reign? What comes after greatness passes? Alexander conquered and fought for 13 years. Because he refused to secure his line of succession, his death created a power vacuum that tore apart his empire, resulting in a 4-decade-long civil war. However, despite the chaos following his reign, Alexander is still regarded as a fierce warrior in general 2,000 years after his death. Alexander was responsible for the destruction of the Persian Empire permanently, as well as the Persian culture and religion. When installing the new Egyptian government, he created the Ptolemaic line from his general Ptolemy, whose famous descendant Cleopatra VII would become the last Egyptian pharaoh. He established colonies in hopes of integrating Hellenistic culture with the locals he conquered, thus spreading Greek culture. While the states he affected may no longer exist, monuments and entire cities stand as a testament to the power he once held, power unlike anything else seen in the ancient world. It's rare for a person to become notable enough to make a mark on history, but one king was able to change it forever. Alexander's accomplishments can be attributed to his early life and fascination with Greek culture. His conquests and the effects of his reign still last today. And that is how the Prince of Macedonia changed the world forever.